Okay, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. We thank Leah Schneider for joining us and wish her good luck in everything that she does. But we move on, of course, in the Bronx. And in our second segment today, we're going to go over to one of the, I think, the best places in the Bronx. It's the Bronx River Art Center. We're going to say hello to curator Jordan Horton. Nice to see you, Jordan. Nice to have you with us.
Nice to see you again as well.
Nice to see you. You just talk to me before we get into the show. Pick me up, put me on. Tell me just a little bit about your background in art and how you went from being not a curator to being a curator of what I think is just a spectacular show.
Sure. So I went to undergrad in 20 I graduated in 2019 from DePaul University in art history. And just as I was graduating, I was learning what were art positions that you can take, what were things you could do with this degree, and that just really led my fascination to curating. Um, After that, I went to grad school at Williams College and graduated in 2023, so in June. And while I was there, I was also a Mellon curatorial fellow, so I got the opportunity to work in a museum and work on a curatorial team and lead projects on my own that it just kind of sparked this fire to continue to curate even without an institution. And so this opportunity from BRAC came up, and I jumped onto it.
And there you are, and there we are. Are you an artist on your own? Do you create stuff, or do you just really get the kick out of putting an exhibit together to show people, what others are doing?
Sure. When I was in undergrad, I minored in studio art, and then I minored in studio art. So I always had this artist background. I always loved to draw when I was younger. But I definitely get way more satisfaction of curating and being on the art history side of things. But I think because I was an artist, it makes it easier to work with artists, or I really enjoy working with artists because I understand it to a degree.
Right. And I guess that when you were talking about that, it relates in a way to me that I get a kick out of showing off to other people,
Yeah.
good people and good things and all the other stuff that we talk about. So I can relate very much to to the idea of curating and putting stuff out for people. Talk to me about pick me up, put me on. Was the idea created before? Like, did our buddy Gail Nathan, who's the director over there at the Bronx River Art Center, did she say, "I want to do this kind of exhibit," or did she say, "Hey, Jordan, come up with something, and what do you got?" kind of thing? How did
Sure.
we get to that point?
Sure. So the title really reflects the nature of the show of let me put on my friends to an opportunity. And so I saw the open call for this show, and the only requirement was that the artist had to be from the Bronx. And one of the artists in the show, Oscar Model, was a college roommate of mine, and we started college together in
Ah,
the same scholarship program of Posse, the Posse Foundation. And so I knew Oscar for a long time. He was a studio art major and computer science major. And so we had a lot of classes together. We did a fellowship together. And so, in thinking of the artists that I know from the Bronx, Oscar was the first person I thought of. Estelle, I happened to meet her maybe a week or 2 weeks
this
before
is Estelle Masonette.
Estelle Massonet, yes.
Masonette. Okay.
I happened to meet her probably 2 weeks before I saw the open call at her.
Really?
There was open studios at Yale where she went to get her MFA, um, and that's where I met her. And besides her art being fantastic, the one thing I remembered about her and seeing like 40 people studios is that she was from the Bronx, and
So there was an easy start there. But
yes.
now, did you have to tell tell them, I want pieces that fit into this
Hmm.
strategy, and then they created them, or did they already have the work and they
Hmm.
said, well, this one fits, that kind of thing?
Yeah, and thinking about the artists that I was choosing, they are also similar in style in which they use large textile, large figurative, large figurative work. So I honestly just asked them to show me what they had, and they just happened to be so connected and so similar, but still very distinct in their own way that it was just a really beautiful happening.
It just worked.
It just
Um,
worked.
so let's take a look at a couple of pieces. As you know, I was there and
Mhm.
I just fell in love, especially with this first piece that we're going to look at. I just thought this was the cat's meow. So if Anderson can pop it up on the screen, what I just love is the passion between the father and son, and of course, then his face is different. You want to just tell me? So this is one done by who? By Oscar?
No, this is Estelle.
Estelle's work?
If we're looking at the right image, it's with
That's the one.
the
Yeah.
Cafe Bustelo, yeah. That's actually the older figure is actually a portrait of Estelle, and she's holding who I believe is her nephew.
Wow.
And so I thought that was a really great self-portrait. Very loving, very personal to the artist. Yeah. And
Wow.
this is called Carino.
What one of the things which we're going to see in a moment or two is uh, you see it. And it looks like a painting, but actually, it's actual. It's raised. It's actual stuff. It's the clothes and the shoes, and we're going to see that. Anderson, just put up a couple of the other ones. Like here's another sample. And what I love about these is that they're just uh, th- they're very Bronx. I don't know how else to
Mm.
say it. They really communicate. Do you want to say something about either of these two pieces?
Sure, I'll speak on the second one. This is work by Oscars, Camino a la Casa. And once again, what was just super coincidental is that the younger figure in this is Oscar, and he's walking with, he said, either his grandfather or his father in this. And so I thought it was great to have both of the artists portrayed in these works.
Oh, that so
Um,
it's not only, even though for me it's like, oh, that's other people, but it really is a personal thing for the artist.
Absolutely. And just how that is still relatable, even though it's a very personal experience for both of them.
And let there's another this one to me. Let's put this one up. This one displays what because I've got another angle of it, but this is actually like a living room, and it's not like a picture of clothes hanging. It's actually the clothes hanging.
Hmm. Yeah. And so Oscar and Estelle both work in
See
found.
there you can excuse me, there you can
Mhm.
see that it's actual stuff up there, even though when you look at it head on, it doesn't look like that. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jordan.
Yeah, so Oscar and Estelle both work with found objects and really value the practice of collecting. That one of the shirt that's Irish in Oscar's work, like I remember him wearing that in college, and so really big on found material and repurposing in these large scale collages, which I think really adds a texture and a depth that makes them very sculptural and just way more than like a two dimensional collage could be.
When you look at that space, and it is just a wonderful space at the Bronx River Art Center, and you've done this work, and by the way, this will be up through Saturday, so folks can still go out and see it at the Bronx River Art Center.
Mm.
Do you now all of a sudden you look at that room, and then in your mind you say, "Hey, I ought to do a show about this." Like, do you have I like are the wheels spinning already about what's next? Whoops, excuse me there. About what's next?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to whatever lands next. I want to make sure I have the time and research to think of a show rather than just do a show because I'm running off the high of this one. I still want it to be a really quality and thoughtful show in the way that I always work on a show for about a year. And so I value the time to work on a show.
Well, when you in a way, also I'd relate it to this. It's like TV, I put something out, you don't really see the people watching it and then
Yeah.
reacting, but you get a chance to see people reacted, people loved it. I'm sure they did love it. I loved it. When I
Yeah.
went there, I thought it was just an engaging, especially as a Bronxite, an engaging show.
Absolutely, and something that was really great about this the location of the show is since both artists are from the Bronx and went to school, at Yale and Boston, this is the first time that or not the first time, but like a really special time that their families and friends and people in the community can see work about the community, which I thought was the really sweet part about making the show.
That to me also, and I alluded to it in the images that we saw. To me, those were Bronx images. These are Bronx people. These are Bronx scenes, and portrayed in a way, of course, that helped to expand our minds. As far as Estelle and Oscar, it's pretty interesting. On one hand, you knew Oscar for years,
Years.
and you know Stell for days or weeks, or and yet you had, I guess, an artist's luck that they were on the same page, right? I
Um,
mean,
yeah.
that can't possibly happen all that often.
I feel really lucky about it. It was something really about divine about the timing. We were all finishing our master's degrees at that time and
Right.
just haven't been home for a long time that this felt like a homecoming show for all of
Wow,
us.
for all of you. Maybe you could just, before we wrap it up, talk a little bit about the importance of art in the borough of the Bronx, and why, not only is this really interesting and creative and beautiful artwork, but why it's important that, the Bronx River Art Center does what it does, and that you and we all have the opportunity to express it.
Absolutely. I think out of all my interests, community is at the center of my practice. I think it's really important and something that I really wanted to see more growing up is art valued in a community and but art being reflected of the community as well. And so I think a show like this and a location like Brack really shows the community like one, you can see yourself in this, and two, you're just as important and you're just as valuable than the next person. And yeah, the arts are just really important and we have to just keep that alive and well. And I think the Bronx River Art Center is just a great place to do that.
Yeah, I see the mothers and fathers too, of course, and bringing kids in who go to classes, and the kids just they can't get enough. They go in there; it's a chance to express themselves. Anyway, Jordan Horton, thank you so much for your excellent work
Thank
at
you.
the Bronx River Art Center. Do you want to share with us what's next? What are you working? What's gestating in your head at this particular time?
I don't have anything to report that's next,
Oh,
but
rest.
I'll continue to stay in the art world, continue to write and make shows that I look forward to the next one.
Yeah, well, of course, we have wonderful artists in the borough of the Bronx, and we hope you get a chance to work with all of them. One of
I
them
hope so.
painted the background there here.
Oh,
That's
nice.
that's All Off Avenue by Bronx artist Danny Halbert.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, Jordan, thank you so much.
Thank
Say
you.
hello to Gail and send her our regards. And ladies and gentlemen, the Bronx River Art Center. The show is Pick Me Up, Put Me On, and it is there through this Saturday. And Jordan, thanks for doing it. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, folks, that will do it for the Bronx Buzz. Thanks to Aaliyah and thanks to Jordan. And you know what we always say: if the curtain don't fall and the creek don't rise, I'll be back next week. We'll see you then. Good night.